So we've got 9 red candles on the weekly of Bitcoin, hugely important. We've also got some greenness on the altcoins, but most of them will probably die off anyway, so just be mindful of that. Bear market rallies, incredibly dangerous right now, so be very careful. We're going to look at some important indexes and how to stop you getting involved in the market with FOMO and actually losing money. Be careful. So the Bitcoin chart, as I mentioned, 9 red candles. My case blue, as you know. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Bit of realism, hopefully. Now, everyone's getting excited. Nothing has changed yet. We've only had one little sliver, but I'm going to explain why that's probably the case right now. It's kind of obvious, really. Anyways, right, how to play this, what to do, and why we should be concerned about the market sentiment right now. I feel we are going to push up right now. I think we are going to start seeing a little bit of movement up here, right? Just be careful. Don't get FOMO. We'll talk about that in a minute. We will. It's a good one. I want to teach you something cool. So we need to be careful, right? Overall, for me, nothing has changed. As I've said, we're in a big, clear weekly downtrend. As I say, there's room to move. Could form a lower low. Big importance, right? Who knows? In terms of timing. I use the weekly time frames, by the way, most of the time. So it'll take time. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Don't worry. So let's talk about a few things. I think it's important to know. Now, I've talked about it just before briefly. You can see it on the thumbnail. Altcoins are dead. Now, that's not to scare you, but that's kind of the obvious. A bear market is incredibly important to get your stuff right, your plan in order. This is what I talk about on Patreon. I talk about a whole plan. I've got a whole strategy for people to follow and copy. It's really handy if you are new to the space and if you are like, oh my God, what's happening? Everything's 100 miles an hour. Influencer A is telling me we're going to 100K. Influencer B is telling me we're going to like nothing. Play your own game, right? This is what I'm trying to show you. There is both bullish and bearish scenarios overall in this market right now, but we've got to be somewhat careful. I would rather be on the bear side at the minute because of the economic climate, which I will go on to. Now, when we talk about this is essentially from this impulse, but we could actually adapt this and do this from this overall impulse here. I think 34K is absolutely key. We have a level of structure here for obvious reasons, psychological levels of BTC. 30K, give or take, just above it. But we've also got this whole range here. We might get a massive load of liquidity just dropped on our heads around that point. Got to be careful. So what are we after? Realistically, an impulse, a high low, and then ultimately see where we go from there. But nothing's happened, as I say. So that is the overall structure right now. It's a bit meh, isn't it? It's a bit rubbish. So everyone's getting really excited about this, but we're not broken out of the range yet. Yeah, okay, cool. Happy days. Done. Right, indexes. Need to talk about these though first. Total market cap. Again, we're looking at this sort of situation where we've had a big, massive drop in the daily time frame. We're in this kind of downtrend still, not even formed a new high yet. That's an important thing. And we've got to look at the overall picture. This is the overall picture right now on the total market cap. It's pretty brutal right now. And a lot of money has been wiped out in the space of a couple of weeks. So if we're looking at this in terms of monies, we've lost nearly $1 trillion. People still think we're in a bull market. Yeah, okay, cool. Welcome to... So this is important. This is like, for me, looking at the indexes is hugely important. Now, why is it important? Because it's the overall bias of the market. You can see very clearly here that we have structure levels going down to 1.08 trillion. I've called that on my Twitter, hit it on the nose. We're probably going to go and address that anyways. Even today, yes, we have bounced a little bit for obvious reasons, but even from this morning, we are pulling back a little bit. But you've got to think how many coins are going to get absolutely splattered over the next coming months. A lot, right? We've got to be careful. So that brings me on to the next part, the dominance stuff, right? As you can see here, USD dominance. It's going up quite significantly. That's not good for the market, right? As you know, with the dominance, up means bad, down means good, right? So we are pulling back a little bit, which is always good to see. But ultimately, this may well just be coins going to levels of resistance. Then we may well go bang back up again. We have a few things to consider here. Why? The dominance of BTC is still trickling up slightly. Not as aggressive as it was, but it's still trickling up, right? Been pretty aggressive in its run. Probably will go much higher. So be careful of that. Other things to look at as well. As I said about altcoins, a lot of them will die off, right? That's going to benefit the USD dominance, it's going to benefit the BTC dominance and every other dominance out there, because a lot of the CAC essentially on the screen will be gone. This is from roughly when I first got involved in crypto, essentially, right? I was involved in the stock market beforehand, dabbled in crypto. I'm still here. Yes, I know. So you can see here there's a lot of coins you've probably heard of, but there's a lot of coins that you've probably not heard of, or there's probably coins that are in there that have now fallen that far, they've lost out on everything, right? So obviously you can see the top 5, you could probably notice them. Everything below that, not really that interesting, really. Maybe Waves is one that's been around for a little bit too, obviously Dogecoin, etc. But a lot of coins will change, and this is what I want to get my head around. These bear market rallies are going to be very dangerous because of this fact. Write this down. Teams, development funds will sell on you. There you go. Done. Simple as that. So, why is that important? We're sitting with a few coins recently that obviously look what's happened to Luna. That's obviously different, but you got to look at other coins as well. If they're not going to make revenue in the bear market, there's a problem. We're talking about utility, use case, revenue, sponsorships, fundraising. I know there's a few coins out there that are not meeting their fundraising capital from VCs, because guess what? VCs are getting people wrecked, and they're getting themselves wrecked as well because they're getting too cocky and arrogant. That's the problem. Have you noticed that everyone wants to become a VC now in the influencer space? It's great. Funny. Anyways, I know I'm going on a tangent here, but ultimately that's a big thing, right? So when we're talking about that, and I will talk about FOMO in a minute on the charts in a bit, but you're going to find a lot of coins that do not have a revenue mechanism. So the one thing that I will suggest you to do, and if you're new around here, I know it's boring, but do your research again. If you are holding something, do your research. Have a look and see, are they going to make money? Are they going to survive? Have they got foundation funds? Are they going to utilize that money well? Or are they going to dump their bags? If they're going to dump the bags, find the door. Literally find it. Right. Why is today a bit weird as well? Well, the stock market's shut. Memorial Day today. And if you're doing all kinds of stuff regarding that, cool. But the market will be quiet today. Crypto has bounced today for obvious reasons. Number one, we've dropped a lot. We're in a range, and this is probably an opportunity to kind of pump the market a little bit. Why is that important though? The reason why I say that is because we are hugely kind of in that bubble with this kind of market. The whole entire market on the stock market is looking a bit crap right now. Obvious downtrend. And we've been following it pretty much to a T. Now, with that in mind, we've got to look at certain situations. Also, at the end of the week, Jubilee week in the UK. So Thursday, Friday for us, it's bank holiday. Chances are the FTSE and that totally closed. Right, the UK stock market, the stock exchange in London will probably be closed. I'm pretty sure it's closed. With that in mind, there's a lot of emptiness. Like today, there's no US session. Thursday, Friday, there's probably going to be no London session. That's an important factor for how Bitcoin moves in institutional investment and how things move. It's a hugely important thing. This is why these little bear rallies that within that time period is going to be pretty risky. And as I say, exit liquidity. There'll also be influencers looking to sell on top of people too. And perfect opportunity when there's a lot less liquidity on this market right now because it's closed, will be an opportunity to maybe have a little bit of a run on crypto. Other news. When Luna 3.0, that's what I want to know. Obviously, if you didn't get involved in the fork or whatever it's called, or the airdrop, I didn't. Whatever. But a lot of people have lost a lot of money. A lot of people have lost a lot of trust with this protocol completely. I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole now. There's a lot of things that are also like, oh my God, regulation. Oh my God, I'm never going to invest in that because of that. Oh my God, stable currencies. Oh my God. And it's right to have that opinion. I think a lot of altcoins will fall because of this, massively. Any altcoin that's got a similar kind of protocol to this will be looked at massively. Regulations will probably hound a lot of cryptocurrencies as well. You're probably going to see a lot more lawsuits. You're probably going to see a lot more criminality kind of elements around it. You know, in my opinion, I've said it before, I think he should be in prison. I think there's been people who have done this in the stock market and got prison sentences. Nothing's happened yet. I think it's massive. It's a huge responsibility. If you're running a company, if you're building a car, if you're manufacturing a tire, and you find someone at fault due to certain things or how it's conducted, there should be something criminal around that because it's funds. Yes, we're in a decentralized world, but if we want to be taken seriously, I think, we've got to be serious. And people will draw parallels to like the Silk Road, but I think that's different. This is like a decentralized asset with a president or a CEO running it, who was ultimately the downfall for this falling, right? It's going to open the eyes to a lot of things, I think, this, and it still is rumbling on, right? So we've got to be very, very careful with that. Anyways, as I said before, we're going to talk about this sort of situation, the bear market cycles. Ultimately, altcoins are dead and all that. Yeah. We need a bear cycle. It's healthy, as this article says, right? Why is it healthy? Flushes the influences that are like obviously rubbish. It flushes out the rubbish VC firms. It'll flush out the crap altcoins. It'll flush out the crap news articles, all kinds of scams out there. We need a flush, a big one, a very, very big one. It's very, very apparent who the bad actors are in the space now. It's kind of obvious. We're now just got those little cultish communities that are hanging on for dear life, trying to make things happen and work and look good and all kinds of stuff, when realistically they're not. So it's a good little article, this. When the times that come, a correction is normally needed, and at the end of the day, it is healthy, and it is. I've often talked about this in the bull market. When markets go down in an uptrend, the brutal, them corrections are brutal, but they actually do need it for that liquidity to get more buy orders in to push higher. We're at the opposite side of that now. We're on the flip side, as in we will bounce up, we will get sell side liquidity, and most likely get pushed down lower. People will manipulate that. They will very, very easily. So we're going to be somewhat careful, right? But finally, before I leave you, I want to give you a little bit of a gem idea. Now, I've talked about this before in previous videos, and it's kind of clear. You've got to understand where the money flow is. Now, you can utilize this on other markets as well. Obviously not the USD dominance, I'm saying. If you're in the stock market, utilize a NASDAQ in the same way. If you're in the foreign exchange market, utilize a dollar index in the same way if you so wish to. Where is the rest of the market going? Cryptocurrency is driven on hype, it's driven on fear, greed, and human emotion at a much bigger way. In my opinion, a much bigger way. A little rumble, a little bit of a shill here and there, a little bit of a take profit, a little bit of a wobble, even on Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, it will make a difference in the market. Now, if we look at a random altcoin, let's just look at Dogecoin, for example, here. Obviously, hype, fear, greed, all kinds of good stuff. Look at the daily time frame, right? If we're looking at this overall, yes, hype, fear, greed. We all know that this was overbought massively in terms of where it was and what it was doing at the time. And as I said before, utilizing all these kind of little metrics of my coin's gone far too high or my coin's gone far too low will give you an idea. So no one can predict the bottoms, no one can predict the tops, but ultimately what you can do is you can get profit or you can buy as low as you can. Buying as low as you can, dollar cost average, whatever you want to use it as, or average down, it will help you in the long run if you've done your research, if the altcoin that you're buying has a revenue mechanism, has a foundation, it's not going to die off like half of them will. Let's be fair here. I reckon about 95% of coins will probably die. You do not want to buy into a dead horse. Let's be fair here. You don't want to be doing that. So the one thing that I would say to most people, like let's look at Chainlink as a great example here. Personally, I have no idea why people are interested in Chainlink. That's my personal thoughts, right? And I know I'll get a lot of backlash over that, but I've never seen it as an attractive buy. I just think, yeah, it's cool. It's an API, Oracle, whatever. Good plumbing. But in terms of revenue mechanism, it isn't one, right? You can see that with the price just being fallen. And when you look at the total, dominance of the USD pairs, there's been no reason for you to buy other than buying obvious levels of support where it does rally up a little bit. And that's how the whole market will be like for the next 6, 7, 8, 10 months, maybe even longer than that. Every single time it's going below this line on this bottom chart here, the dominance, it's like, why would I want to buy it? Once you go above it, like we're starting to go above it a little bit, there may well be a turn where it will go back up. But this is a downtrend. Like, look, this is like a perfect sort of situation here where it's just, well, obviously we've gone from here. It's just melted way beyond these extension levels. But overall, we're falling out of the range. It's just an obvious kind of situation. You've got this level here where we've started to roll over. We bounced up towards this 382 and then we just melted all the way down to here. It's just a downtrend, right? Simple. Anyways, I hope that video helps. Now, One final closing thought. Do not get greedy. These little rallies that you see in this little bit of green, and if you're holding the token and you bought much lower and you've made 40, 50, 60, 70, 80%, take a little bit off the table just in case, because if we do continue going to a new low, you've lost out, and the accumulation of units is hugely important.